you, Prashant, for the wonderful introduction. It was great to listening to you, sir. Very inspiring, and I'm sure that your students and your college is doing well. It's all because of you. Today, I'm here to talk about different career options that are there, not just for management professionals, but ideally anybody who is a graduate from a prestigious institute such as yours. So, I want to start with asking a very basic question, that how many of you are management students here? The answer is obvious, that except for the professors, all of you are. The second question is slightly tricky, and for this I want you to raise your hands, all of you who are management students by choice. Rather, let me reframe this question, who are not by choice or because of something else you are a management student. Anybody? Okay. I mean, how many of you are pursuing MBA because it promises a good life or a handsome salary and in some cases a handsome dowry even? Is there anybody, I mean, I have been fed into this notion that if you are not getting a good job, get into an MBA and you'll get a good job. So, I'm sure some of you might have been fed into this notion, whereas your real dream might be something totally different, which you have forgotten just because there was no promise of a good life or a good salary, and that's it. Otherwise, how many of you wish that you could pursue something different? In this, you can be at least a little bit honest. Yeah. So there are around 30% of the audience thinks that they wish that they could pursue something different, and this is what I'm here for, to tell you that you can. I'm sorry for sounding a little like this guy, but so before we begin this talk, I just want to tell you what this talk is not. It is not a ploy to dissuade you from management. I can assure you, sir, that people will be pursuing their careers, but it will help.
My job will be safe.
Yes, definitely. It is not a sermon, it will be very interactive, as you will see soon. It's not a self-help bookish slideshow. It is not all yarn, no play, because there is something that this is about. It's about broadening your perspective, something that you have not even thought about till now. It's about exposing the options that are available to you, which you might not know right now. It is about finding a direction for your passion, and it is about increasing your self-awareness. Suppose you wanted to be a writer right from the very beginning and thought that I cannot be, or you wanted to be a dancer or a photographer, anything, you can actually pursue your career. And this talk is also about a lot of chocolates. Prashant there is having a lot of chocolates, and those will be distributed to the people who answer some of my questions. We are going to, it's a quiz cum presentation. There are some questions which will be answered by you, and the one who answers it will get chocolates. But for that, you don't have to shout out the answer. Just raise your hand. I'll ask Prashant to give you the mic, or just tell me the answer. So before we proceed, okay, this is it. So I begin with the first question. Identify the name. Name is simple, you can identify, but I want the person who gets the chocolate to answer me the second question. Anyone? Okay, just for the name, raise your hands please. There are two people. Yeah, prompted. Rishikesh. Sorry?
Jindal.
Which Jindal?
Okay,
Naveen Jindal is the correct answer. And any idea about the college? He's an MBA graduate, and now as you can see that he's a politician, politician as well as an entrepreneur. So he is Naveen Jindal. You can give him the chocolate. And he was recently made famous by Z News more than his work, but he's doing good work in Haryana, and he's an MBA graduate from University of Texas in Dallas, where if you read about him, the institute has named their MBA sector as Naveen Jindal Institute of Management as an honor to him, because he was very active as a student leader there, and thereafter he has been very successful in the domain he is pursuing right now. identify the person, the college, any idea? You can ask for hints. So first hint is she's a singer. The second hint is she's the wife of a famous singer, Kunal Ganjawala. Any idea? Okay, her name is Gayatri Iyer. She is a graduate of IIM Lucknow, which may surprise you because she could have chosen a corporate career, but now she's a full-time singer. Her famous songs, let me think. Yeah, so there was a song called My Dil Goes that was sung by her, and a lot of other songs as well. So you thought MBAs just end up in corporate jobs. It's time to stop and think again, because there are different careers that you can pursue being an MBA graduate. I have a friend right now at the fellowship, Young India Fellowship, where I am, and her name is Rashi Kakkar. She was national level badminton player, and in class 12 she fell down and her ligaments got torn, and she couldn't pursue badminton thereafter. She used to play with Sania Nehwal in the national championship, and she could easily have made it. So thereafter she went into SRCC. She was a good student, and thereafter she joined Bean. Bean and Company is a consulting company, and now she wants to get back to sports. And the way she is going forward with it is she's joining a sports firm and sports management firm, and through that she's going back into sports, not as a sportsman but as a sports professional. But before we proceed towards the parallel careers, I want to talk about, do we really need a parallel career? Actually, not at all. In fact, we are in dire need of MBAs. But there is something that we don't need. There are a lot of MBA colleges in India, but we don't need forced MBA graduates, because if you are a forced MBA graduate, if you didn't want to do an MBA and you are just being forced by your parents to do it, you'll end up becoming very mediocre managers, which is what my problem with forced MBA or forced IIT graduates is. And that's why there is a need to be enlightened about parallel careers. So the world is full of them. You can read. I just need water. So basically these are the people who give into the societal pressure. They're the people who think only MBAs can offer financial security, which is totally untrue. And there are people who get so tied up in their jobs after MBAs that they stop pushing their limits, they stop pursuing their passion, they stop. How many of you painted as a child and you like painting? Is there anybody? Are you pursuing it right now? Yes, there's one person who is pursuing, but around 7 people gave it up because of academic pressure, pressure for jobs. So this is what the society does to us. Our things that we really like, we are forced to give them up, which is what we don't actually need to do. So before we move forward, we have another quiz. You have to identify the name. Name is easy, but the college she graduated from. Yeah, go for it.
I am Calcutta.
And the name?
Indra.
Correct. So Indra is the CEO of PepsiCo. She is an MBA from Calcutta. So if you want to become an MBA there, if you're a truly passionate person about management, then you can actually end up becoming as successful as Indra Nui is. And our MBA graduate, she currently heads a company which is one of the biggest companies in terms of consumer goods. Identify this person. You might have. There's one person. Yeah.
What was the pyramid?
Sorry. Second question. Answer.
The fortune at the bottom of the pyramid?
Correct. So C.K. Prahlad, you might have read about him. How many of you have heard of him? So, as a management student, you must have heard about him. He was recognized as #1 contemporary thinker. He's no more, unfortunately, with us. But as he passed out of IIM Ahmedabad, and thereafter he went to Harvard Business School, where he did his PhD, and he taught in the US and was one of the most prominent thinkers of all time. These people shone just because management was their passion. Management either in the applied sense where they became people like Indra Nooyi, or in the theoretical sense where they became somebody like C.K. Birla. And my argument is simple, that if you know what your passion is, even you can reach the pinnacle as these guys have. So the first question is what your passion is. So basically, if you define a passion, it's something that you not only like to do, I mean just time pass ke liye kar liya wala attitude nahi, but something that you are actually love to do. If you don't do it, for example, if I don't write for a week, my fingers start itching, I feel incomplete, I can't live without the writing. So that's the kind of passion that you require if you are thinking of pursuing something that is offbeat. So what I have seen, especially in the college from where I come from IIT, and once we got into IIT, there were a lot of people who were not actually interested in engineering. The society forced them to prepare for JEE, they were good at physics, chemistry, math, they cleared JEE, and once they reached, then they realized that engineering is not just solving numericals. Engineering is also about thinking about solutions to complex problems. If you're planning to build bridges in a city like Delhi, which is already too congested with traffic, how are you going to go about it? For some people, this seemed very challenging, while for others, it seemed very fascinating as well. So those people for whom it seemed very fascinating, they went on to become very good engineers. But there have been many people who couldn't find that fascinating. They rather thought it was rather difficult and they could pursue something else. So for them, there is a plethora of options available rather than being forced into a firm where your heart doesn't lie. It might be something totally outlandish. Your passion might be something that you feel shy talking about to your friends, like becoming a sprint runner for the next Olympics. This might sound crazy, but meet this guy. This person on the right, he is right now atop Stok Kangri, which is a mountain in Ladakh. It's 6.5 kilometers. Just to give you an idea, Mount Everest is around 8.4 kilometers in height, 8.48. So this guy has reached two-thirds of more than two-thirds actually, 75% of the height of Mount Everest, and he's atop there. Not only this, he later on started running and he completed his Olympic triathlon in Bangalore. And you won't believe that this guy has done all these things. He studied paragliding, he was a canoer, he was a mountaineer, skier, vagabond, he dived, he climbed, he is now a triathlete preparing for International Olympic Triathlon. And he happens to be my friend. He is my batchmate from IIT Delhi, and he cracked IIM thanks to society pressure, but he didn't join. He got through IIM Lucknow, but he didn't join. So this friend of mine, Saurabh Agrawal, he got placed in Flipkart for a year. He wanted to pursue adventure sports, like he didn't have money. So he joined Flipkart for a year, and he remained in Flipkart for a year. He saved around 3 lakh of rupees. So he was getting a package of around 8 lakhs. So he spent around 30 to 40% of it in lodging and his recreation, but he saved almost half of his salary over a year. And thereafter he had this clear ambition that he wants to pursue all these adventure sports. And with that 4 lakhs, he bought a parachute for 1 lakh rupees. He went and lived in Manali for a year, for 6 months to learn paragliding. Thereafter he did canoeing for 2 months in Haridwar. Thereafter he went to Pahalgam, all the way to Pahalgam, and learned mountaineering. And right now, coming from such a background, and the reason he finished his money right at the middle of it when he was pursuing diving in Andaman. And then after he realized that he's really good at, his stamina was very good because after all this he learned a lot. So triathlon is basically you have 3 different sports at the same time. You run, thereafter swimming, and there's cycling. So he could pursue all these 3 together, and this is what provoked them to seek sponsorship. And once we and our alumni batch got to know that there is somebody who is as crazy as him, so all of us decided to pool in 500 rupees every month for him. So around 20 of us got together, so we are sustaining him right now, and this is how he's pursuing, and I just wish that next year he goes to International Triathlon and makes it big there. So there are people who are doing amazing things. And just before coming for this presentation, I actually talked to him. I showed him the slideshow saying that I have devoted 3 slides on you. And he was very embarrassed. He was saying that you are giving Indra only 1 slide and 3 slides to me. This is not fair. But the amount of courage it takes to take the leap of faith. And only when he took the leap of faith did we friends join him. So it's the other way around. It's not that once you get the security, then you jump into it. You jump into it, people see that you're passionate about it and you're struggling, people join together to sustain you. So imagine what if your passion, something as outlandish as the previous one, becomes your profession. And becoming a profession means you get paid for something that you love to do. I mean, imagine the life of Sachin Tendulkar. He's getting paid for playing cricket. What could be more wonderful than that? And that's just because he loved it. He worked hard for becoming very good at it, and now you get paid for it. If that happens, you'll love to attend your office. I mean, imagine your office being your own company. You'll never miss it. You'll deliver the best quality work because you're loving the work. You'll attain mastery because hard work will never seem hard. A lot of people prize that one should work hard. One should push the limits, which is true, but hard work has become a sort of cliche because you think that hard work means you're sweating it out. But imagine, it never seems hard. I can write for 6 hours a day without having any back pain because I love it. I'm enjoying it so much that hard work doesn't seem to make me fatigue at all. And secondly, it most importantly makes me enjoy it. So again, back to the quiz because otherwise we'll all fall asleep in some time. So you have to answer the question that is. So he is Prasun Joshi, we all know that. He is a lyricist, but he graduated from a management college, which is very near IMT Ghaziabad. And then after he went to join an advertising company where he came up with many taglines for companies. So there is a very prominent edible oil brand. Do you have any idea? The brand is Sephora. I want you to identify the tagline. GOG बोलते तो LIC का लगा। Sorry? नहीं अभी तो मैं जवान हूँ. Heard of it? So, Mr. Joshi, I had the fortune of meeting Mr. Joshi at Jaipur Lit Fest this year, and he talked about how his journey took him from places to places. So, MBA helped him to secure a good job in an advertising firm. His passion for writing and his creativity over a period of 6 to 7 years made him the creative director of the same firm. And thereafter he branched out and he started his own advertising firm. And he has been known for, a lot of people know that he's a very prominent lyricist, but most of us don't know that he's India's best advertising guru. So basically all these ads, Umeedo Wali Dhoop is by him. A lot of other ads, I'm forgetting the name, but he's the one. You remember the Happy Dent ad where the teeth is shining all the time? This was his idea. This guy is not an MBA graduate, he is an IT graduate, but he's pursuing something very different. Can you identify the name and, yeah?
Kursi Khamba?
No. His name is Arunabh Kumar.
Arunabh Kumar, yeah, TVF.
TVF, yeah. The Viral Fever, you must have seen on YouTube. So this, you can give him the chocolate, please. So you must have seen him on YouTube. So Arunabh wanted to get into filmmaking ever since he was in his third year at IIT. After graduating, he went to Bombay. He started doing theatre there, but there was no fulfillment in terms of filmmaking for him. And during that time, he actually chanced upon meeting Farah Khan, and she hired him as a director for Om Shanti, assistant director, sorry, for Om Shanti Om. And after that, he had some really crazy ideas of a show for MTV which he pitched to them. And unfortunately, MTV didn't like any of those ideas, saying that these kind of videos will never work in India. And then he started it on YouTube, and now you know that he has 20 million views, more than 1 million followers on YouTube. So if people feel you don't have a market, you can go on and create your own market. So basically, I just found it out floating on the net before every college. You think this is how it is going to be, and it is very tedious, it is very mind-boggling. So, but you have to thank management because it taught all of us that you can multitask. I know a lot of us have different deadlines and you can all push in and actually manage to finish the task on time. It also teaches you how, basically it's all about management, how to manage time, how to ascertain your value of time, and how to extract the value of your work. Which is what many other people don't know. I mean, if you're working for somebody, they might underpay you, which you might not know, but as a management graduate, you can actually extract the value of your work. A lot of my friends are freelance journalists and they keep writing for magazines. And most of them are so obliged that some magazine publishes them, they forget to charge money from them. You are giving your hard work to them, you have to ask for money. One has to be, one shouldn't feel guilty about asking for money because you are giving your time. And this can only happen if you have been educated in that way or if you have struggled. I am not an MBA graduate, but I ask money for my time because I need it, first of all. And second, I know that if I'm putting my 5 hours anywhere, I can actually write 2,000 words during the same time and that article can get sold later on. So I'm actually missing that out to come here, for example. So that's how you should know how to extract the value of your work. And during the colleges, we all have seen and observed that we had various opportunities to actually find out what our passion is. Some of you might have managed College Fest, for example, and you realize that you're very good at management. And perhaps that's why you were here. A lot of us were ventured into different fields like dance, drama, writing, photography, and you realize that this is something that you really love to do. It might be the case that for most of these creative lines, you might not have been able to find out a way to monetize it, to make it as a career. But that's what I'm going to talk about after this. And so, we all know this guy, he's perhaps the most seen person on the cricket channels. We know the name of the person, Harsha Bhogre, but I want another answer.
You know the answer or not?
Anybody who knows the answer of the question?
Just 7 times a year.
Tell me the name of the book. Your director sir was talking about a lot of management graduates writing books. He's also one of them, we don't realize.
Can I hazard a guess?
I'm forgetting.
The lessons I learned.
No.
No, it's a quotation from all the celebrities.
No.
You have then the stories. I'm forgetting the name.
Can I give any hint?
Yeah,
The word W.
The winning day.
Because I've been talking to him several times about it.
Pass on
So we'll share a
Take
copy.
on for yourself.
We are roommates, so we are sharing it.
So it's the winning way, and if you have noticed about his career, he had a similar career as my friend Rashi Kakkad had. He graduated from, he always wanted to, he loved commentary. And the entry barrier was so that only sports people could actually become a commentator. So he started out as a management grad, he went to his sports management firm, he got close, he got friendly with all the players and understood how the cricketing domain works. And thereafter, when he was asked to showcase his talent, everyone knows that he is by far the best commentator we have ever had. Next person, I don't think a lot of you would recognize him, but he looks like a typical MBA grad, doesn't he? But check the same guy in the next picture. The same corporate honcho now totally made over. So you might not recognize because this guy is not an Indian in the sense, not a resident Indian, or actually he's not an Indian, he's he's from Pakistan who has been in the US for a long time. He's an MBA from HBS, his name is Zishan Zedi. He's an American rock musician, full-time rock musician, and he's the lead vocalist of a band called the Commuters, if you have heard of it. So basically, what do you want to become? I have listed a lot of options, but you can ask about various different fields that you might be interested in. So these fields, in a broad sense, they cover everything that I would think of. So let's see. So this is John Abraham. He's also an MBA, and I want you to answer the question of the name of his last successful film. Cool. I mean, there are many hands.
40-50 chocolates.
Okay, tell me the name of the movie that he directed. He produced it. Okay, sorry, I'm wrong. Just if we have chocolates left, just distribute it. Not now. After that. So basically, if you want to become an actor, if you know the story of Sushant Singh Rajput, so Sushant Singh Rajput was All India rank 7 in AIEEE. He joined DCE for a year. He didn't like DCE. He dropped out of DCE. He went to Shamak. Thereafter, he performed a lot in the festival circuits, all the IFA and Filmfare. He used to be one of those dancers, back dancers. And thereafter, he went and auditioned for one of these Ekta Kapoor's or somebody, I don't know. And he Pavitra Rishta, yeah, I heard somebody say. And thereafter, now you see where he is. So basically, it's all about taking the lead. So, way forward is simple. You have to first, to pursue anything, you have to first become good at it. So you have to hone your skills. If you have to become an actor. Is there anybody who wants to become an actor? No. So I can actually skip this, but this person, generally for a writer or a journalist, people ask about Chetan Bhagat or Amish Tiwari, but this is a famous writer. He's holding his book in his hand, if you can see it. And he writes regularly for Mint. He has a column called Cubicle Nama. Anybody? He's very famous on Twitter. Is there anybody active on Twitter? No. His name is Sidin Vadakul. He's a columnist for Mint and an author. His trilogy called Dork is very famous. So again, for becoming a journalist, you have to first become good at writing, and thereafter there are several workshops that you can attend. Just Google them. And networking is very important. I want to stress upon it because you are all MBA graduates, and networking is going to play a pivotal role in whatever field you go. So if you are, for example, I am a writer, and I've recently been published by Random House, which is now Penguin Random House. So as a newbie writer, as a new writer, as a young writer, it's very difficult to actually get into the notice of one of the big publishing houses. They generally publish people who are above 30, who have made a name. So the way forward is you have to make friends with people who are in the domain. So luckily it happened for me by chance because I was sitting in Housecast Village where mostly writers and publishers hang out. And I was talking to a friend about a novel plot that I had. And somebody was overhearing, and the person turned out to be an assistant editor for Random House. And she liked it, and it is just by chance, but there is an element of conscious thought behind the chance as well, because I was at that place at the right time. So a lot of serendipities happen in such a way. Otherwise, since you're MBA graduates, again, you cannot spend a year more in journalism schools as well. But what you can do is you can start freelancing. Right now, I have written for The Hindu, I have written for Tehelka, I have written for DNA, I have written for Open Magazine. And all these people didn't hire me. The only thing that I did, I wrote articles, I sent them over email. And you can find their emails on the internet. So I kept sending them. It's not that I sent an article and they immediately publish it. So I sent around 200 emails. After that, one of the articles was very liked by one of the editors and he published it. So you have to keep trying, and freelancing is the way, because once you have a portfolio, for example, I want to become a journalist after my fellowship, and I don't have a journalism degree as such, but I have an interesting portfolio where I have written around 12 to 15 articles in renowned newspapers and magazines, and which makes my case very strong. That even without having a degree, he could publish so much, that means that he's passionate about the field. I was told that she visited your campus. I just want you to tell me the name of her last book, 3 words of which are written there. Rashmi Bansal, her last book. It starts out as Poor Little Rich Dash. Sorry? Wrong. It's a story of Dharavi, the entrepreneurs at Dharavi in Mumbai. Slum. Chocolate. So the book is Poor Little Rich Slum. Again the same thing, I'm not repeating it. He is a photographer and he has a very different background. He didn't study photography as such. He looks like a model. His name is Devendra Purbia. He's a pass out of IIT Kharagpur and he's a fashion photographer. And he started out much like every photographer nowadays start off as by making a Facebook page. He started out as a Facebook page photographer. He went around covering a lot of marriages. And then he did a lot of portfolio shoots of models and aspiring actors. And one of those photos caught the attention of a prominent magazine, Marie Claire. And then they hired him for a project and his photographs were brilliant. And thereafter he's a constant feature at all the fashion festivals in India. So again, start small. Every page is free of cost. You can actually create a every page. And again, try to freelance, try to pitch it to magazines and fashion journals which might publish it, because they give you a broader market to reach and it might attract attention of the people who might be looking for hiring you. You can identify this person and the company. It's an easy one. Anyway, his company is Naukri.com. Name Sanjeev Bikhchandani. He started his a graduate of again an MBA, and this is the best career that MBA graduates can have. All of you must be dreaming of starting your own company. And it's a very interesting story about Sanjeev, that he started out initially as an employee for a company which manufactured suits, and thereafter he didn't like it, he quit it, and then thereafter started working for Naukri. And during that time he was not earning a penny. His wife was a school teacher, and they used to live in the small 1 BHK house they had for over 1.5 years, and he managed all in that shoestring budget. And 1.5 years later he found an investor who was willing to invest over 1 crore, because his Naukri.com suddenly caught up the pace, and now it is one of the most visited sites in India. So again, for entrepreneurship you have to start off very small, you have to manage your budget. Again, networking is essential for this, because you have to find business, and for finding business you have to network with people. And one of the things that Sanjeev Bikhchandani himself has said, that you have to think big, but think realistically big. You are going to start, the next Apple is a good ambition, but how are you going to get there? This should be chalked out before you are thinking that big. Because just daydreaming doesn't work, you have to execute very swiftly. And one of the important things while starting out is finding the right business partner. We always think that our friends will make a very good business partner if they're good. I started out a venture where our idea was about selling one-liners. I used to write a lot of one-liners on Facebook and Twitter, and I thought that these could be sold, much like my articles are sold to newspapers and magazines. So my one-liners can also be sold. So where could you sell them? So I realized that we could sell them on a t-shirt or a coffee mug. So my roommate was doing t-shirt business. He was using a lot of copied quotes and making t-shirts and selling it at IIT. And during that time, I just pitched the idea that we can actually find people on the net who are writing one-liners. They can write their one-liners and we can actually sell their one-liners in the colleges. And this could actually make money for them as well, because if you're writing one line and if you get royalty of around 5 rupees per t-shirt, you can sell 100 such t-shirts and get 500 rupees as a royalty, much like I get royalty from my books. So I started out with my friend, and 2 years later I realized that that was the biggest mistake, because we had a terrible fight related to CEO-ship. You are starting out with your friend, both of you want to be a CEO in front of the investor when he's coming on board. Idea was mine, I wanted to be the CEO, he was handling the business and he wanted to be the CEO. Severe fight, I gave in, he became the CEO, my mother, father sat on my head, how could you let this happen, this was your idea. Ultimately I quit my own venture and started traveling. So, I mean, starting out with friends is not essential. If you're starting out with friends, make sure that you have all the policies and core values listed immediately and start out with proper designation. Tell him that you are going to be the CEO of the venture if you have plans of becoming one. Because I started out with the same designation. We were both co-founder directors. And later on, there was a tussle for power, authority. Identify this dancer. How many of you are dancers here? I mean, you do you dance? Can you identify it? Very good. So, she is the daughter of Vikram Sarabhai, India's most famous space scientist, and she is a graduate of IIM Ahmedabad as well. She worked in the corporate sector for a bit. Thereafter, she started her own social enterprise, and she is now a social activist come a dancer. And if you are having stick making needs, you might call her even, because she might give you an idea about how to switch careers in much better way, because she is much more experienced than I am. So again, I think this has been copied from the previous one. You can all identify this person. Can you? He is very famous on the internet. He is a stand-up comedian. He runs a company called Humor Beings. His name is Nitin Gupta Rivaldo, and he is a graduate of IIT Bombay. And thereafter he started doing freelance work. He just put his few videos on the internet and it got viral, and now he's a prominent feature in all the college fests. So all the college fests, they call one band and Nitin Gupta, especially engineering colleges. So he doesn't need to work for anybody, he just goes on performing the same kind of thing that he has been always doing, but it makes people laugh, it connects with them, and now he is quite rich of it. So the way forward is simple. If you have the skill to actually sell it on the internet, you can write a catchy script, record him on your smartphone. Now all of us have phones with camera, it makes it very easy, and just upload it on YouTube. And since you all are in college, you can actually perform in your own college and get the feel that how the market is liking your product. Because ultimately, even humor, it's a product at the end of the day. If people are liking it, you can actually go ahead. And since we hail from engineering background side, PJs don't qualify. A spiritual guru, I'm not talking about Shri because I don't know, some of you might be fans, but there are two people who are with him. These people are again graduates of normal colleges, engineering college, Baba and Dinesh, and they are now gurus. And I don't know how to go ahead with that, but I think based on my observation, these are the 4 ways to make a good guru. You have to grow your hair and beard. You have to talk very softly like Shishi does. And befriend a high potential. Again, it's all about networking. I mean, these guys are big shots in AOL right now, but the reason is because they are very close to Mr. Shishi. Mr. Shishi doesn't sound right though. This is a very interesting one. I found it on the net. So, anybody can identify? His name is Namit Sikera. He's a IIT Roorkee pass out. He's known as UP's Dayan Nayak. He has more than 50 hits. Actually, Ab Tak Chhappan has been the tagline fixed on him. and he is the man behind the 1090 Women Power Line concept. And basically, to get into this position, either you have to become a Naxalite or else IPS officer. So, is there anybody who's preparing for IAS after this? I don't think so. So, a lot of us are still unclear about our passion. The way forward is simple, just pursue with your MBA. You might end up in a frustrating job, but even that will give you a story to tell ultimately. So you might find different avenues to tell it through dance or art or painting or writing or even making a movie about it. There are some fellowships. Fellowships are basically opportunities where you can sit and work on your dream project without worrying about a job, because fellowships fund you and give you a residence. But I'm currently pursuing something called as the Young India Fellowship, which is a one-year academic fellowship in liberal arts. So it covers all the domains like economics, philosophy, writing, what else? Gender studies and history. So basically it provides me a pivot to change lines. So I was an engineer before this, but now after this I can actually pursue a liberal arts field. There is a Teach for India fellowship which is very famous. It's a 2-year teaching fellowship to teach underprivileged children. The best thing about the fellowships are most of these fellowships have their own placement cell. So they make sure that if you're giving a year or two, after that you're getting back to the corporate sector where you come from. So if you're too frustrated from your life, just go into these social sector fellowships. There's a very interesting fellowship called LAMP Fellowship, which is about 1 year close-knit working with an MP. You'll be the assistant to an MP. A lot of my friends are currently assisting Naveen in a project who are LAMP fellows currently. There are other fellowships like ICICI and Gandhi fellowships. Again, this is in the development sector, working with grassroots level organizations. This has been started recently, Future India Fellowship, which is an academic fellowship with the Future Group, which has a pan-India trip at the end of it. For 2 months you will be traveling across India. There are many other fellowships across the globe, especially in the foreign countries. You can Google them. UN also provides some fellowships. And now coming to the end of my talk, there are some truths, and these are, first of all, reading is very important. I missed reading. I never read a fiction book in my life until I came to IIT, because I was fed into the notion that if I want to be an engineer, then I should not waste my time. So I avoided TV, I avoided internet, and even fiction books were said to be wasting time, without making me realize that actually these are the things which allow you to get to know the psyche of a human mind, how people think, how people behave. Secondly, it's not only about fiction books, it's also about non-fiction books, because they make you well informed, not only about the general knowledge but also about the society. If you're going to vote tomorrow, so you have a clear reason why you're voting for Modi or Kejriwal or Rahul Gandhi, rather than just being influenced by your neighbor. So, secondly, hard work has no substitute. Until you are good, there are no takers. It's a simple fact. And until you work hard, you won't be good. And I believe in this primarily. This is the reason I didn't take up a job after campus, because I believe that my prime years, which is 20 to 30, is for my dreams. It's not for somebody else's dream. So I'll figure out my own way and find a way to take the leap ahead. Because once you're in 30, once you're married, you have a lot of other people depending on you. You cannot take the leap of faith. Right now, you can actually take the leap of faith and do something. A lot of you have expressed interest in entrepreneurship. So maybe after college, you can think about starting off a company, and with the kind of network that BIMTech provides, I think you will actually even get some of the angel investors interested in your project. Secondly, perseverance triumphs. It's very simple. You have to keep trying until you succeed, because if you stop trying, you will never succeed. And if you keep trying, you won't give up. Things will come to you. A simple example could be, I was in my second year of college. I had a low GPA, around 6.9, and I wanted to go for a foreign internship. And my professors and friends and seniors told me that only people with a GPA above 8 could make it to a foreign internship. I drafted an email, I kept sending it abroad to professors, and I sent around 640 applications over a period of 2 months. Whereas my friends who had greater GPA sent around 25 and none of them responded. On my 632nd application, a professor in Glasgow seemed interested and he called me on a fully sponsored internship there in Glasgow. I got to work on a project where I wrote a research paper which got published in an international journal. Plus I got to travel across the entire UK, and that too funded by them. So I mean, until you keep trying, a lot of my friends later on, when they start pitching, realize that they're too late for it. So you have to just keep on trying until you get it. So that's the end of my talk. I think I haven't, sorry, there are more things. Yeah, how did it end? And secondly, this is very important, one of my mentors was the owner of the magazine Digit and Ink magazine. Her name is Anuradha Dasmathur. She told me this line which I find very inspiring, that you have a choice. You have a choice in everything that you do. I mean, tomorrow your parents can come and say that you have to get married. You have a choice not to marry until you finish these dreams. I mean, complete these dreams. You have a choice to find your own spouse. You have a choice to find your own job. You have a choice to decide